Hello and welcome to Biz Help for You with Candy Messer. Thank you for joining me today. I'm excited to share that the show has aired 450 episodes, and today I want to highlight some clips from topics in the last 50 episodes. Today's clips will cover a variety of topics, including financial clarity, managing your online reputation, and overcoming imposter syndrome. I'll be highlighting tips from 8 of my past guests. Tune in to hear the expertise they have to share.
Welcome to Biz Help for You, the show that saves you the expensive learning curve by providing advice from industry experts in every facet of the entrepreneurial journey. Too many small businesses collapse. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, 20% fail within their first year, and less than 35% make it to their 10th anniversary. The goal of this podcast is to change that statistic. So if you're interested in learning more to be a successful entrepreneur, tune in today.
Many entrepreneurs began their businesses without a solid plan because they had a passion and wanted to present it to the marketplace. In this first clip, Chidi Egbouge answers the question, how can entrepreneurs get clarity in the direction of their business and set a strong foundation for strategic growth? Well, a lot of people were probably listening and saying, you find accounting exciting? Right? It's not fun for me, which is why there's some of us who do like the bookkeeping or you do the income tax returns or things like that too, because we have the talent and we can do it and they don't. So I'm glad that you're here to talk today on this topic, and help entrepreneurs really understand some of the things that maybe it's just frustrating for them too. It may not be their strength, So I would love to first just even ask you, how can the entrepreneurs get clarity in, the direction for their business and set a strong foundation for strategic growth?
I think one of the areas that I find that people kind of miss the point would be to start off in business and not actually have. So it's like we know what we're doing, we know what service we're providing, what products we're selling, and we're going to start and we're just going to do that. And you kind of have this as a business owner, there's this kind of world you're living in where you get paid last, so you pay your staff and then and so on. And one of the areas that I focus on first is really trying to understand what that business owner wants ultimately, like not restricted by whether you think you can achieve it or not. And what that does is it makes us then think about, okay, if you want this, whether it's time, whether it's money, what does your business need to do to provide that to you? And then once we have that then as a goal, it then means it forces you to think of solutions and think of different scenarios for yourself and your business. I just think that's a really great unlocking tool.
I think that's important too, because so many of us started businesses without necessarily having a plan of where we were going. Like even for myself, I didn't intend to be a business owner. Somebody asked me to help, with her husband's bookkeeping because she, was kind of put to the task from her husband, and she enjoyed part of it, but a lot of it she didn't, and so I didn't know all the things. I knew all the bookkeeping. I'd been doing it for a while, but I didn't know necessarily how to run a business, how to market the services necessarily, or how to price things, differently than when I was an hourly employee or things like that too. And so a lot of people have a passion or a dream and they don't know everything that goes into that. So I think it's important, like you said, just to really think about, what is it that you want? Do you want to work, 60 hours a week and make a lot of money? Do you want to work not as much and not make as much? Or do you want to work not as much, but still have, high revenue? What does it take to get there? So I think that was great that you even start with them on that topic, because I think a lot of people just start saying, I'm just going to sell my product or service and see what happens. Right?
No, exactly. And to give a very short example, I spoke to a client now who, when we first spoke, he works as a fitness trainer. And so he works in a gym, right, as a fitness trainer. And then what happened then is we start talking about how much he needs. He wants to buy a flat. He needs some money. He needs 100K. And then the question then is, can you make 100K in the gym? And he says, no, you can't. So how are you going to make 100K? And so before we start playing with the numbers, we realize he needs to have a business, or his business needs to turn over 300K to pay him 100K. So now all these ideas, and it's not like I'm not telling him the ideas, but he's thinking, okay, I need to be online, or maybe I need to rent a space, maybe I need to, I need to sell programs, maybe I need to bring in other fitness trainers to help me. So that's the power of knowing where you're going, what you want from your business, should I say.
In the past, if someone wasn't happy with the service they received, they had to write a letter or find a phone number or email to contact a supervisor. In today's world, a negative review can be posted immediately. In this next clip, John David explains the importance of being attentive to your customers and monitoring your online reputation, especially when someone has posted a negative comment about their experience working with your company. Well, it seems like in the olden days, before we really had online presence and social media and all of that, you could have people who were frustrated with you and they might tell someone, a friend, family member, whatever, and you might have a little bit of an issue that you, of course, are hoping to solve. And if they, come to you, a lot of times people did used to come and just talk to you about it instead of, bashing online. But now a lot of people just go and say things online. So do you have any tips on, what can businesses do when something like that even occurs? First of all, how can they even find out if someone is saying something about them so that they can try to approach them and solve the problem? But what do they do if there's all of these negative things online? How do they even manage that?
Sure. I mean, no, there absolutely. There's a whole, there's the way that it used to be, is like, you go to a restaurant or you go to a business and you get bad service and you're like, you think, oh, well, I'm going to write a letter to the president of the company, and so how do you do that? Well, you got to go back, go home and, whatever. When I was a kid, it was a typewriter, right? I got to get my typewriter out or write a handwritten note, or I go, or maybe I go and I write an email, right? And I got to go find the president, find the president of this company or the general manager, whoever it is. And I still, by the time I leave that restaurant or that business, I still have to be mad enough when I got home to like still want to do it, right? So you have all those, so you have the sort of natural. I drive home. I have the natural cooling off period. You have your spouse or your partner or your kid going, you really overreacted to that one, Dad. Mellow out. Now that's all gone. Now you can take out your phone while you're still at the table at the restaurant and write a review on Yelp. So the speed is just tremendously different. And so what businesses have to do is they have to pay attention to that stuff. They have to really be on top of it. And I think it's mainly it's forced businesses to just be more attentive to their customers because they realize that that's something that can happen. If you really, if something goes really wrong, and you're a business, you have to, you're smart to address it right away before that person goes and goes off on on Yelp or TripAdvisor or some site like that. But it's monitoring it, and it's also just being at the point of impact, being aware that this could happen to you. This person could go out, and I mean, listen, if you're a small mom and pop business, and you're not paying close attention to your online reviews, for example, and you've got you got 11 reviews on Yelp, and you're right now you're a 4-star company, and somebody comes along and gives you a 1-star review, and it gets published. Now you're a 2-star company, and that's like kind of a direct impact on you. So you have to really monitor that stuff and pay close attention to it.
In this next clip, Callum Armstrong explains how marketing is like fishing and gives the 4 things you need to consider. Follow his tips to help you determine your marketing process in order to scale your company. Well, and you have this analogy that fishing and online marketing are similar. So I would love for you to talk about, how that is and what are the lessons that they can learn from your analogy.
So I'm in New Zealand. We are at the bottom of the earth. We're surrounded by ocean, and so fishing's a big part of our life. So it's quite apparent. You can probably tell by the Kiwi bird painting behind us. We call ourselves Kiwis. In fishing, there's really 4 stages to it, regardless of what type of fishing you're doing. First, you need to know, what type of fish am I going to catch? Am I catching a big tuna, a big finfish? Am I catching a snapper or a kahawai or a squid, something else? To catch that fish, what is my approach? Am I going to use a net? Am I going to use a rod or a lure? Where do they hang out? When do they eat? You have all these questions that come into your mind before you can actually go out and set up your equipment. But once you have an idea, you have a hypothesis of this is where they're going to live, this is what they're going to do. The next stage is that you get your equipment set up. Then after that, you go out and go fishing. You don't expect that you're going to catch every fish in the ocean on the first go. I mean, that would be unrealistic. But you expect that you're going to test stuff and you're going to improve and learn and grow. So you put something out there, you test it. You talk to other fishermen, you try different things, you double down on what works, and over time you get better at fishing. It's the same with digital marketing. So in digital marketing, or in marketing in general, you need to know your ideal customer. What are their problems, their pain points, their objection, the competition, etc. What is your offer? How is your offer the perfect fit for them? Where are they hanging out, and how are you going to get them as customers? That's your strategy. Next up, the second stage, just like getting your fishing rod and your net and your tackle ready, you need to have the right equipment. Whether that might be a good website that clearly talks to their pain points in your offer. It might be a lead magnet to attract leads. It might be ad accounts set up and analytics properly configured, your social setup. There can be a lot of different things depending on your business. But you need the right foundations in place before you go out and promote. And then you start doing marketing. But I think a lot of people expect that they're going to put some message out there and they're going to scale up their business on the first try. And usually that's not the case. Sometimes it is. But you try things. You test different things and you double down on what works, which is the third and fourth stage of fishing. So it's very similar. Mm-hmm. And I see people maybe over-investing in a fancy website but not promoting it, or promoting a terrible message and wondering why people aren't getting on board. But I think if you look at your marketing in that order, 1, 2, 3, 4, you can make sure that you're setting up the right foundations to grow from so that you have an asset that gives you return that allows you to scale.
We often hear the word no when offering what we sell to the public, and we can become discouraged. Yaniv Zaid discusses how you can market your products and services to the world without feeling intimidated. And I would love for you then, talk to, again, the small business owners who our audience is, who's listening, and they may feel intimidated when they hear the word persuasion or things like that too, or I don't know what to do in terms of marketing or the sales strategies that I need to have. So what are some of the practical tips that you can give them to be able to market their products or their services out to the world and be able to do it without feeling intimidated?
Great. So first of all, you need to understand, I feel that if you're a business owner or entrepreneur, you need to be very optimistic and believe strongly in your products and services. You need to know your why, because there are lots of struggles when you're an entrepreneur, when you're the owner of a small medium business, no matter where you are in the world. So you need to be very optimistic. You need to think positive thinking, and you need to believe very much in yourself, because when you have the struggles, when you hear no, when you try to sell your product and service and you hear no, then you can handle it better. You need to be mentally strong, okay? So first, you need to identify the why. What is your mission in life? Why did you pick this product or services to sell? Why did you pick this business? And you need to be authentic. So number one is to be optimistic, and to understand your why. Number two is to be authentic, because today we are recording this in 2024. Clients today, they have I call it fake radar or bullshit radar. They know when you're not authentic. So if I just open my business because I saw my neighbor with a similar business and I think he does lots of money and I would like to do the same, and it's not my my interest or my ideas, so it doesn't feel objective. It doesn't feel authentic. So people won't buy from me. So maybe I will do things good, but I won't get results. So authentic means that don't try to be someone else, be the best version of yourself. And sell, there are many ways to sell a market. You need to choose the way that fits for you. Number three is to define your target audience, because nobody is good for everyone, and no product and service is relevant for everyone. And if I try to sell to everyone, if you have money, then come, then I will have lots of troubles. Okay, so I would like to identify my target audience. Who is the ideal client? I call it avatar. The ideal client. The type of client that I would like. That if I provide service, and I would like my diary to be full with meetings with this kind of client. And if I have a shop, who do I want to get into my shop? And you need to identify the target audience Again, this is something I work with clients, with startups, with companies, with entrepreneurs when we begin our consulting. And sometimes I ask them, who do you sell to? And this is the first time we think about it. So most people, they just say, okay, I have a product or I have an idea, let's start selling it. But you need to identify who is the target audience. By the way, we provide 2 tests. There is the fun test and the money test. The fun test is who will I enjoy working with, okay? And the money test, who can afford me or afford my products? Because if I enjoy working with people but they won't pay me, then I can't have a business. But if I will just go to clients because they have money, maybe I won't enjoy it, so I close my business because I need to do something that is joyful for me. So I guess we can start from there, and then we can build a community with your ideal clients, because we need to find them offline and online to see where they are, regardless of us, because they don't know us yet. And then we begin, let's say, build a growing community of clients that will buy and they'll tell their friends.
When running a business, we are often told to determine our mission and vision. But do you know the difference? Jacqueline Strominger explains what each is and how planning what we want our lives to look like will help guide the vision and mission that they can change over time. So I'd love for you to talk about your definition of what is a mission and what is a vision, so that as we're talking today, they understand those concepts.
Yep. So I'm going to start with vision. So vision is where you see yourself. And I love to always share that each and every one of us is the CEO of ourselves and of our lives. And and then if you're a mom or a dad, you're the CEO of you, and your spouse is the CEO of them, and then you got this bigger CEO of the corporate entity of your family. But being the CEO of you, where it starts is you have this vision as to where you want your life to be, your legacy. The vision of when at the end of your life, so to speak, and you've written your eulogy, what is that people have said that they can say about you and that you can say about your life. And it's the grand picture. I always love to say, for me, my part of my vision is to be able to create a life that my kids have memories with, and that I've been able to have a lasting legacy to help instill other people to be their greatest selves. And so how do I do that? Well, that's where my mission comes in, right? Part of my mission is defining the achievement code and the codes and the values that I have, and really then saying, right, my mission is I'm going to help all these people. And in doing so, I'm going to be able to fulfill these dreams, and I'm going to be able to fulfill that. So your mission is what is starting the direction and the path to the vision of the greater you. And then from the mission, right, once we have our mission, we can then extrapolate the goals that we need to set forth to see that mission come to fruition, to see the vision happen. So that's, and I always like to say, it's a sphere. It's always moving and evolving, and it's turning around. I talk with a lot of companies and entrepreneurs who have written out their mission statement. And then what do? They take their mission statement, they write it down, they put it in a book, they pick the book, and they put it away. I got my mission statement, woohoo! No, I'm sorry to say. Take your mission statement out and read it. Look at it. It should be front and center. It needs to be, posted on your, screensaver. It needs to be something that you're always looking at, because it's not written in stone. As you change, your mission is going to change. Your goals are going to change. And so just like a sphere, it's going to evolve and it's going to move and it's going to rotate. Same thing happens with that mission. And your vision may change too. Some things may happen in your life, and you're going to be like, you know what? I think I need to alter that. And that's okay. We just need to make sure that those things are in alignment with each other and also with your core values, and as I call it, your achievement code, so that the sphere is actually turning in a nice fluid pattern. It's not like being jerky.
Mm-hmm.
And you can always zigzag, but we need to have the fluid motion.
Many people are afraid to reach out to talk with potential clients, thinking we might be bothering them. They don't want what we are offering, or they are experiencing imposter syndrome. Drew B. Wilson teaches us to realize our time and skills are valuable, and people will pay you for what you have to offer. Listen to his story to see how he learned this concept. Well, and I think too, when you have a family, especially once kids come into the picture, if we haven't been as healthy too, I think sometimes that's a trigger for us too, to be like, oh, I need to do better so I can be around for them. And so that sounds like it might have been something similar for you as well. And, now we're going to talk about, business too. And so we have to be healthy to even run successful businesses. So we have the energy and all of that too. But I would love for you to just talk about your philosophy, calling these leads. How did that come about, and how did it transform your business and your personal life?
Oh, this is good. So you're teeing me up a little bit. So this might be a little bit of a longer answer, but it's going to be really helpful because it explains both my personal journey and how the whole business started. So I mentioned 7-8 years ago, I was out of the streets. I was selling insurance. I was living a relatively successful life, as most people would look at it. I was married, had a kid. We had a home we had purchased. I was selling insurance, didn't have to work weekends. It should have been a pretty daggum good life. But good will steal from great. And I worked really hard and didn't feel like making $30,000 a year was my level of worth. So I went to my boss at the time and said, hey, what do I got to be doing to make 6 figures? Like, what am I doing wrong? What is it that I'm missing? And he said, you just got to be patient, man. Someday it'll be your name on the door and you'll be getting the big residuals, and just go and call the leads and do what you do best. And I was like, well, all right. And I sulked back to my desk and I was all flustered because I'm not a very patient person at all. And I went online and I was like, all right, I'm a sales guy. If I can learn marketing and I can get my own leads, I'll have more people to sell to. I'll make more sales. I'll make more money. It was just kind of a math problem. So that's what I did. I went online. I learned marketing. I developed a new skill set, so much so that it actually did allow me to double my production at the insurance agency, which was awesome, except that it really wasn't a big jump in my commission check because it didn't scale to getting double the commission. It was only an incremental increase. And I was like, this isn't it. However, some other agents in the area who knew me personally reached out and said, hey, man, you're one of the top guys. You just doubled your production. What were you doing? And is it legal? That's another kind. You know how it is. People always want to know if you're working, if it's legal. So I was like, well, yeah, it's legal. I went online. I learned the skill. I'll teach it to you guys. And they went, no. I don't want to learn it. I don't care how much for you to set it up for me. And I was thinking like, oh, well, that's pretty powerful. And I was like, I don't really know. Like, I'm trying to figure this out. Well, at the same time, I got a call from another online client and she said, hey, how much for an hour of your time to get on and show me how this works? And it was one of the most humbling questions of all time, because I'm sitting there thinking, well, I make $1,500 a month salary and I get a $2,000 a month commission check usually. So if I'm breaking that down, I'm making 20 to 25 bucks a night. I'm like doing this like hourly math. And I think I'm smart. And I'm how about 50 bucks? And Nancy chuckled. She's like, well, I was going to pay you 75. So I said, yeah, that sounds good. Let's do that. And that was one of the first real moments for me that I realized I was giving away my most valuable asset, my time, energy, and effort, for way less than what it truly should have been. And that was kind of like one of many big epiphany moments for me, was like, hey, your time is very valuable and you've developed a skill set that if you will go out into the marketplace and actually ask people for more, they'll pay you for it. Isn't that crazy?
I think a lot of us undervalue our time, or we don't realize how much we give away because someone has a question and we just give that answer, give this answer, or I'll quickly show you, right? And then we give a lot more away than we even realize. Are you interested in being a podcast guest and authentically connecting with your audience? Tom Schwab shares his wisdom on why human connections are so important. In the world of AI content, people want to know that you are being authentic when sharing your message. Well, I do know that you have said you advocate for marketing based on genuine connections and empathy. Makes sense, right? A lot of times people don't do that though, too. But I would love to know then, how does this approach play out in podcast guesting, and why is it key to building authentic relationships with your audience?
Yeah. Nobody wants to go through a funnel, right? It just kills me when I hear people say, oh, you're one funnel away. Nothing good in life has ever come through a funnel. It comes through a conversation. And I think too often we're taught, maybe lied to, that what works on a small transaction will ramp up. And a lot of times it's, platforms that are selling you the software to do it too, right? That you can build the funnels and you can grow your business just like Brendan Bouchard did. Well, they forget to put out that Brendan Bouchard and Tony Robbins have been talking to people for decades, right? Then they can start to use that. And so I think that human connection now is something that people are looking for. And so many times we can figure out, oh, this looks like AI or this looks spammy, and people start turning it off, and they're looking for things that are really inhuman. And I'm going to say even the search engines, right? AI is looking at collaborative content because they know that Candy and I are talking together, and they know that it's not perfect English coming out of Tom's mouth, right? He talks in broken sentences, says, and people realize real quick, oh, that's really a human. And I think that's important for people to engage with you because, we're humans buy from humans. Maybe it's not B2C or B2B. It's always been human to human.
So what you're saying is I don't have to worry about if I mess up when I am doing the podcast because then it's seen as real.
If you didn't mess up, people would probably say something's wrong with that. I remember, a while back we were hiring, and I've got a great team, 22 people, all remote, and they flagged a bunch of the resumes or a bunch of the answers and said, no, these people, they used, AI and ChatGPT on it. And I was like, how do you know that? And they're like, nobody knows how to use semicolons perfectly like that. And it was one of those things where it's like, they got thrown out just because of that. People want humans. And I've even seen people talk about intentionally putting a typo in an email. So people think, oh, it really did come from you.
Yeah, I've heard that too. I'm a perfectionist also. I've had to let that go a little bit, but even in school, I had to have all A's or I was really disappointed with myself. And so with the writing and emailing and stuff too, I always go back and double check. I make sure I add that comma or things like that. But now I'm hearing maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I should let it go.
Well, my team used to joke that if there wasn't a typo or a grammatical error in an email, from me, it was a phishing email. Now, I'm an engineer by degree, and so they just expected that. But today, now with the tools and stuff, it's easier. But I still can communicate best through speaking, and I think that's a great thing today. That there's a lot of problems in the world, but there's no better time to be alive, right? You can speak and then repurpose it into other content, right? For us introverts, we don't have to jump on a plane, fly someplace, and then stand on a stage and give a keynote. No, we can host our own podcast. We can guest on other people's podcasts, and we don't have to leave the comfort of our own home or office.
Tom Crenetti shares what servant leadership is and how it can help you be a better employer. One key is to help your staff achieve their potential, even if it means they'll move on to another opportunity in the future. Although counterintuitive, this can help you attract other talent to your business. Well, when I read the bio, right, one of the things they said was servant leadership. And I would love for you first to give your definition, really, of what that means, because someone listening may not quite understand. So can you share what that is for you?
Right. I would love to. And I want to sort of preface it by talking about what it's not. If you look at the typical organizational chart, you have one person at the top who has a few people reporting to them, and then they have a few, and we create this incredible distance between the person at the top and the people who are just beginning and just entering the organization. And that's traditionally how we view leadership, right? I want to be the president. I want to be the line leader, if you want to go all the way back to school. And we think that being in the front is the most important role. And yet my understanding is that great organizations require tremendous support. And they require leaders who are willing to focus on meeting the needs of the people in their charge more than giving directions to the people in their charge. We'd like to think as we build organizations that we're finding wonderful, talented people, then it's our job to steward and to grow those skill sets. And in doing so, if we're meeting their needs, giving them everything they need to be successful and some guardrails along the way, we can expect success as a result of that. And certainly for people who are more engaged in the organization and in the growth of others than people that we just tell to follow a very specific set of guidelines along the way. So to me, servant leadership in the workplace is really about meeting the needs of the people that we're responsible for, but it grows out of my own personal faith and my sense that our job is truly to love other people unconditionally and to, even outside of the workplace, help them succeed or grow in any way that we can.
Well, I agree too. I think when we're bringing someone into the company, obviously there's a need for our own company, which is why we're hiring, but we're providing employment, and there's probably other benefits that we can also offer, and identifying even what are the dreams that they have for themselves so we can feed into that too, right? And help them accomplish their own goals, right? So that's, I try to do that too. And there are times that sometimes you have to be very focused on what the work is, because especially for our industry, we have deadlines and everything to meet too. But at the same time, we want to care about the person as a person too, and not just about a staff member that's doing a job, right? So that's how
that's
we
very
are.
True. And I love the way you talked about their sort of their hopes and their dreams. I would find myself when I was interviewing coaching candidates to join my staff along the way, that I would always ask them, what's your end goal? What do you want? How do you see yourself? What's the perfect situation look like? If you've made it, where are you standing? And then say to them, keep in mind, it's my job to help you get there. And as much as it makes our heart stop a little bit when we think about parting with great talent, helping people reach their ultimate opportunities in life only makes them want to help you more, and they want to stay connected and they want to stay engaged. And it also attracts other people when they're telling their story of how you supported their ultimate goals and dreams and helped those become a reality.
Thank you for tuning in today to this episode. I hope you found it fun to look back at the tips that we have discussed in the last episodes, over the last 50 episodes that we have had aired. And please share this with others that you may know that would find it helpful for them to be able to improve their own businesses. And please also like and subscribe to help us spread the word about our channel and the episodes that we share. Again, my passion really is to help the entrepreneurs be successful. And one way that I'm able to do that is through this podcast and interviewing experts and in their specific areas of expertise, as well as sometimes sharing solo episodes with you as well. So I would love if you could share it and help spread the word so I can continue to help entrepreneurs improve and be successful. Thanks so much. Thank you for tuning in today. Would you please share this episode with those you know and leave a review on your favorite platform? And if you find our show informative, would you consider being a financial sponsor to help me continue my mission to educate business owners? A link is located in the episode description, and no amount is too small. I'd really appreciate your support. If you are interested in connecting with our guest and receiving the offer they had to share, a link to our resource page is in the show notes. Finally, if you have any bookkeeping or payroll needs, reach out to us at 310-534-5577 or contact@abandp.com. My team and I are eager to assist you. Until next time, have a great day.
Thank you for listening to Biz Help for You. Please join your host, Candy Messer, again next time. Have a terrific day.